heroes are you wanting to see?
Good question.
Is the biggest players in the DCU, and therefore their counterpoint villains, because you know that I'm so desperate to see the Reverse Flash is unreal. Like, my favourite DC character by a long way. So disappointed we didn't get to see him originally in Flashpoint.
Yeah.
And I hate that was handled for me a little bit terribly. So obviously get to see a new Flash. And consequently then the Reverse Flash, because you can't have one without the other, really. So what about you, in terms of what heroes do you want to see and the counterpoint villains for them?
Okay, so, well, I was so damn lucky that they already chose to put Lanterns in Swamp Thing and like already start making those plans, because that's my shit. Animal Man, I want to see like specifically an Elseworlds Animal Man, because Grant Morrison did an amazing comic with one of the craziest twist endings I've ever read. Anticlimactic in a way, but twisty and mind-bendy in a great way at the same time. So that's going to be hard to pull off on screen. As far as villains, though, I'm right there with you. Reverse Flash is one of my most desired villains to see done right on the big screen. Yeah. He's terrifying and petty. It's a perfect villain to just be a pain in the ass the whole movie while doing very dark stuff that cries for revenge and cries for the hero to, just really push. I'm having trouble thinking. Well, Nightwing. No, sorry. Let me just rewind. Red Hood. Red Hood is period. Like that's the story I want to see on the big screen. I'm pissed that the dynamic duo is some kind of animated whatever, because that's the one story I would pick. Red Hood, man. But I would want Robin to be developed a little bit first. I mean, in a perfect world, Jason Todd would be the Robin in this Brave and the Bold movie. And in a perfect world, he would die at the end. And in a perfect world, Red Hood would be introduced a movie or two after that. But I also want Nightwing. I'm most excited for the Bat Family, I think. Swamp Thing, Green Lantern. I think they're really missing out on not doing all the Robin origin stories. I think all the Robin origin stories are incredible. I think the way Nightwing and Red Hood become who they are, all of that is just gorgeous. Great storytelling, and it sounds like we're skipping over that, and I think that's a big miss.
Yeah, I can understand that, to be fair. I think they have got important stories, and you need to have them in there to make almost a better Batman as well, in a way, because they've got but the heroes are in their own right, and they should have origin stories rather than just throwing them in as like an underling to Batman. So.
And as far as villains, Deathstroke. I really am excited also to see Deathstroke.
Fair. Absolutely fair.
And I'd love it if he's really closely connected to the Titans and the Bat Family, just like he should be. Because like Lex Luthor hiring Deathstroke at the end of whatever movie that was in the Zack Snyder verse, that was exciting, dude. I'm not going to lie. I was pretty pumped to see that, which actually raises the question if they're going to take that route. They're not going to do Darkseid because we just did Darkseid, but they were also building the Legion of Doom. Would that be a copycat thing if Lex frickin' starts hiring goons at the end of Superman? That's exactly the end credit scene of BVS.
I know what you mean. At the same point, though, you've got to go one or the other, haven't you? You've got to either do Legion of Doom or you've got to go Darkseid. And Darkseid, I think they say for further down the line, is I mean, you can't help but obviously compare to the MCU because of obviously one, their rival comics in a way, but two, in the fact that obviously heroes are very similar. So at some point they're going to have to bring up Darkseid and they're going to have to move towards that big story with him. At the same point, you've got to start off smaller and you've got to start off on Earth maybe. So dealing with the Lex building up a Legion of Doom seems like the smarter play in terms of building up a catalogue of villains for them. If they make this mistake of going down the like villain of the movie way that the MCU has done, and you throw away a lot of half decent or even good villains by having them easily defeated in one film, then you're wasting the potential that you've got. And the fact that the MCU have had a chance to keep around a lot of villains that they could have brought back at different points and had a lot better stories for them, but they've thrown them away for the sake of one film. And so the DCU, if they learn from that, they can actually create a better legacy with the villains in their films than what the MCU have done with theirs. I think you're muted, buddy.
And with a group like the Legion of Doom, I think it's way more important. I don't think the Marvel has like as strong of an equivalent. I mean, they have some groups of villains like the Cabal and stuff, but Legion of Doom is the coolest group of villains. Like easy. I mean, Sinestro, Black Manta, Cheetah sometimes I get. It's all over the place, Bizarro, Lex Luthor's usually the leader. So that's just incredible because it's pretty much all the main big bads of everyone too. which makes it really fun. But yeah, you're totally right. You need to have some one-off villains, so the heroes have to none of them kill too. I mean, none of the villains ever die unless you're
this
like.
This is why they have the opportunity to build the group of villains up to be more of a threat over time, as opposed to just throwing them away after one film.
That's true, because Iron Man and Cap kill, like the Avengers kill, Thor kill, but it's all except for Wonder Woman, and I think Green Lantern kills too. They like lethalized or authorized lethal force in the comics, and they started killing people. But Wonder Woman and Green Lantern don't kill, but
Flash doesn't, Superman doesn't, Batman doesn't.
Right? Yeah. So that means Reverse Flash is safe, Lex Luthor's safe, and all the Jokers, they're all safe. But yeah, that would be really exciting, man. I hope that they take that route, and I hope it's teased in that Superman stuff. Okay, now here's another question. During the Superman movie, present day, do you think Batman and Superman already know each other personally or know of each other? I'm sure they know of each other.
They'll know of each other, yeah. I mean, they said this is like a year 2 Superman, isn't it? So he's still fresh, he's still new. He's probably still doing his own thing, and Batman's probably been around for a bit longer, I imagine. So I imagine that they'll know of each other, but they won't really have had that meeting yet. Because when James Gunn first came out and said, none of these are real origin stories. They've already been a superhero for 2, 5, 10 years or whatever beforehand, and so they'll already be established in their cities, whatever, and they'll know about each other. I don't think they'll ever pass up on the opportunity to really show the first meeting of, say, Batman and Superman on film together, because that's a crucial moment in the step forward for the Justice League.
Yeah,
and so. Yep, I think they'll know about each other. I don't think they'll have been working together yet, because I think Superman's still working things out for himself. I think Batman will be a bit more established, and he'll have been around for a bit longer, maybe 5-10 years, depending on, again, who they ever cast, how old the person is, and then you can maybe state, how long they've been around for as a guess. But yeah, that would be my guess is... They definitely know each other, or know of each other, but they haven't really met yet, and aren't interacting and aren't working together to a point yet. I don't think any of the Justice League will have been interacting up yet, and they'll cross over they'll start crossing over into each other's films.
Yeah, I fully agree. Yeah, I think that's how they're going to do it, and I'm glad. Yeah, like you said, I really want to see that first interaction. I want to see Batman skeptical, not trusting, and then at some point realizing that he's very trustworthy, Superman. So I think that's crucial, and I'm glad the Justice League hasn't formed yet, man. There's something very fun about seeing a team formed like that. So that's good.
I want to see a point when they first get together as the Justice League.
Yeah.
And then it's completely rocked and nearly torn apart by the fact that they find out that Batman has contingency plans for each one of them and has been developing that for years up to that point when he's learnt about them. And I'd love to see that sort of, like, I know it's the whole thing of, like, we had it with, like, say, Captain America Civil War, where the team gets torn apart from within. But having that, but it's what makes bringing them back together even better after that, for me anyway, is that if you have, Wonder Woman and Superman find out that Batman has got all these plans to subdue them and possibly even, like, eliminate them if needed in the worst case scenario, and it tears them apart, and then they get past that mistrust, and Bruce ultimately can realise how trustworthy they really are, and he doesn't necessarily need to have those plans in place.
For sure. And do you think Lex and Bruce will have a similar relationship in this comic, where it's like professionally they're friends, but under the mask they're enemies? That'd be a pretty cool dynamic.
It could be, in terms of, like, LexCorp working with, like, Wayne Industries.
And that's why it's possible. They're just two giant rich businessmen.
And they're just pretending they don't know underneath of it who they both are, in terms of, Lex knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman, but he never says it to his face, and obviously, Bruce knows that Lex is a bad guy and he's doing all these things behind the scenes, because all roads lead to him in terms of when he's investigating villains and stuff, and it always seems to be funded by Lex. So it would be a fun dynamic to have. They know each other and they work together professionally, or the companies work together, and underneath they know that one's Batman and one's a bad guy, and so there's that underlying tension every time that they're in a room together and having conversations, and they're just trying to outsmart each other.
Yes, exactly.